only to that little area, you know.
Yeah, and possibly because you see, yeah, the word confined to me makes a lot of sense when you say confined, because without the knowledge that people can do things, even politics, even religion, you know, music and TV, in different ways, if you can't contrast, how can you make a better choice? You'll be confined to the only choice given to you. You know, so basically you're not making any choices. Somebody made the choice for you, right? We're moving on. We have established, you know, why learning English these days has changed, you know, in terms of importance. And we are moving on to discussing career goals. Okay, so in our careers, in ELT, I'll start with possibly the two most famous Cambridge Teaching Awards. You might have heard of these teaching awards before, the Celta and the Delta. We're going to spend some time talking about the Cambridge Teaching Awards, and then for the second part of the career goals, we'll move on to two other paths which you might like to follow. But firstly, we'll be referring to the Certificate of English Language Teaching to Adults, the Celta. You have taken it already, you said? Yes. Anybody else who's taken the Celta before? Yes. Where, Ligia?
With her.
7, and you said Target. You said Target. Yes. Okay. And also the Diploma of English Language Teaching to Adults, which is like the big brother to Celta, which is the Delta. You've heard of these certificates before and diplomas? Yeah, we're going to have the time today we can also listen to a few stories from the girls who have taken the Celta before, and how they will impact your career and what kind of things they can do for you, what kind of doors they can open. All right? Let me just check with the girls. Did you all take the full-time Celta? 5 months? Yes. Do you think it was too much of a rush, or was time enough for you to accomplish all the tasks? Yeah. Because Celta can be taught full-time over the course of 5 months, but also we have the intensive Celta in 1 month. Okay, so we also have the choice of the intensive Celta. Ligia, it was the full-time Celta for 5 months. Do you think it was time enough for you to cope with everything? Yeah? Okay then. The full-time Celta, you've got it all over São Paulo. We also teach that course at Cultura, but Cultura Inglesa Pinheiros, by the way. It normally takes the full semester. It's like 5 months normally, and so it's once a week every Friday. Did you also take yours once a week? Twice a week.
Only mornings, Tuesdays,
okay.
Thursdays.
Right. So you have 1 day for teaching practice and 1 day for input sessions. Okay. Other centers, they do the Celta course once a week, full day. So we have the teaching practice and the input sessions on the same day. You had it on 2 different days, so twice a week. Okay. We're going to have time to go through the Celta first, take a look at what the course comprises, how it's organized, and I can take any questions. Hopefully I can help you understand how things work. Okay. First of all, let's take a look at the Celta. Celta is considered ideal for teachers with little experience, so a few years of experience, or no experience in English language teaching, or someone who is changing careers, which is the case of some of you here, right? Changing careers. You came from marketing.
No,
who said marketing? Sorry, you have a degree in marketing.
I have public relations.
All right then.
And for the cooperative world.
Okay, and then you decided to make a change and to move into teaching. All right then, yeah. And Thiago, did you also change careers?
No, I'm sorry, I was going to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
If you have been a teacher for several years, few years, you would suggest the Delta?
It depends. It depends. You might prefer to start from Celta first and then move on to Delta. Celta will teach you a lot. What happens to more experienced teachers in Celta is that they come to us, they come to the tutors and they realize that I had been doing many things kind of intuitively. Now I understand why. Now I know why. Now I understand the impact on the students. And now I know how to cause even a better impact on the students, because now I have been reading about it and I have been trying new things in action. So you may still come, so you can somehow systematize and learn the theory behind it. And then you can move on to the Delta later on. You might still be the case. We have been getting experienced teachers also coming to Celta, and they just benefit a lot.
Whatsoever,
It is, sometimes it is too challenging.
Yeah.
I have seen very experienced teachers taking the Delta who drop the course, who don't pass the
They're
course.
similar time, they're similar lengths.
No, Celta is much shorter.
Short.
Much shorter. Yes, the Delta program is often divided into 3 modules. Celta is 1 module. So basically, and generally speaking, Delta takes normally 3 semesters. The Celta takes 1. So it is the most beautiful progression. It's the best way to progress from one course to the next. All right, Isaac.
Well, 2 months ago I was with this question.
I'll turn it off. If you think it's getting too hot, let me know, okay? Okay, just let me know. I think we might do without it. Isaac, please. Thanks.
So of course, in college we had some theories about methodologies.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was researching about these certifications. And to decide which one could be the best for me. And but I also was in doubt because I also wanted to go back to college, take the master degree. So I researched a lot, and then in the end I decided to apply for the process for I'm gonna take the first step next week.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I still believe that this can help me, because many theories that I studied in college,
Mm-hmm.
the other students, the other friends here that took letras,
Mm-hmm.
even though we had 4 years studying there, but we studied a little bit about different methodologies.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think this could be something very practical.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I know we will learn studying this,
Mhm.
and we also be applying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think it could contribute to our career for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if I could comment on your experience,
Mhm.
it's similar to mine. I finished letras last year on December, and then in February I started Celta.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's been Water's advisor.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Because on letras, you focus a lot on theory and a lot about education in general, at least in my case. And we didn't have too much practical sessions and practical input sessions on how to teach English and how to approach different types of classes. So how to teach a writing class, how to teach a speaking class. And for this, the Celta was amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Also basic and intermediate students.
Mhm.
Yeah, the differences.
At different levels.
Things that we do.
Yes, yeah. I think that honestly, if we have the chance in this lifetime of taking all these courses, we should be taking them all if we can. Sometimes we have to make choices, of course. Yes, financially speaking, or even for time constraints, we have to make choices. But letras will teach you a world of, a wealth of wonderful things, and then the Celta will bring you something new. And the Delta will go much deeper into amazing areas too, for sure. Yes. Next point, which is an important feature of Celta. It deals with some theory, not a lot, but some theory, and offers candidates teaching practice to adults, only adults. Both the Delta and the Celta, they will focus on adult teaching, all right? So candidates, when they come to the course, and you girls, you know it, so I'm talking basically to everybody else anyway, you will be having input sessions by the tutors, and you will be teaching your own students. And it's a very collective experience, okay? If you're a very, very shy person, you will probably learn how to be a lot less shy, because everything is very collective, which means you are teaching a group of learners. At the back of the class, you have your Celta colleagues also sitting at the back, and they are taking notes to give you feedback on your class. So when the lesson is over, you all sit together in a smaller group, the students leave, and then you can discuss the effectiveness of your steps, your stages, your interaction with the students, the error correction that you did. You're going to have great, it's really, nothing can pay you back. It's an amazing experience receiving feedback from your colleagues. And also, when your colleague is teaching and you are observing from the back, you're also taking your own notes, so you can also offer feedback to your colleagues. How the class went, what went well, what didn't go so well, what could be done differently next time, how students responded to your instructions, and etc., etc. It's a very collective experience. You won't feel lonely doing the Celta at any point, because you don't do anything alone, basically, when you come to the course. The planning that you do, the assignments that you write, they are individual. When it comes to teaching and reflection, it's a collective experience. All right? So, Celta will offer you this blend of some theory, but a lot of teaching practice, and a lot of feedback from the tutor, and feedback from colleagues too. All right? One more important point. Celta develops essential knowledge of the principles of effective English language teaching. I've got a few examples for you here. The course takes 5 months. We have plenty of time to help you develop the knowledge for teaching a grammar class, how to go about grammar, exploring, clarifying language to students at basic levels, intermediate levels, teaching vocabulary, teaching lexes and how to teach a vocabulary class, how to explore, clarify vocabulary, how to practice vocabulary, teaching reading, so what steps, how to go about planning a reading class, a listening class, how to carry out error correction to best benefit the students so they can accelerate their learning and learn from mistakes, using technology, and so on and so forth. The program is very, very comprehensive. We cover all aspects of English language teaching and what are considered best practices in the world today. Whatever is the most current methodologies will be presented to you in Celta. Is that okay? Questions, comments? Nope. Okay. Still talking about the Celta, here are the components of the course. That's how the course is organized. You have input sessions taught by experienced tutors. So the tutors will teach you the input sessions, very, very practical, how to teach a grammar class, a vocabulary class, reading, listening, writing, speaking, all the aspects of ELT. So you're going to have constant contact with the tutors. 4 assignments, you have to complete 4 assignments. We give you the title, we give you the spirit and what to do for you to do your assignments. You go back home, you do some reading of theory, you go into some research too. You may have to interview students, you may have to find out more about students' lives and learning styles, and then you write assignments which you have to submit, and they are also assessed by the tutor. You have to pass the assignments. Okay, they are also written assignments. Continuous and assessed teaching practice. We say it's continuous because often you have to teach every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. Did you girls also have to teach every 2 weeks? Yeah, because we have a rotation of teachers. We have a rotation. So you don't teach every week, but you teach every 2 weeks. With the class in front of you, and then your colleagues sitting at the back, like I said before. And the teaching practice is also assessed. You are given a mark for the quality of your teaching and the quality of your assignments. It's continuous and it's assessed. You have to pass your teaching practice and also pass your assignment. Finally, you have constant group feedback on each teaching practice, like I mentioned to you before. If you're very shy, you're going to overcome your shyness in 5 minutes. And you learn so much from the collective. You learn collectively from observing your colleagues, giving feedback to them, receiving feedback from your colleagues too. It's a very exciting course. You learn so much over the course of 5 months. Yep. Have you met other people who have taken the Celta before? No, never. These are the 3 first ladies that you have met who have taken the Celta? Yes. Anything you'd like to add? Any other benefits of taking the Celta that you'd like to point out to people in the audience?
I think it helps to make connections, to make friends in the ELT community.
Networking.
Yes, it's events, and you are with a group of people who are trying to improve, and they have the same mindset to improve and to make better lessons.
Mm-hmm.
You learn a lot from observing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
By talking to them as well, you learn when you talk to other maybe
They have different experiences, right?
This is true. When we have a group of new candidates to take the Celta, we do make a point of mixing together teachers with less experience and also more experience, so we can all learn together and teach each other and learn from each other, for sure. Yeah.
Yes, but
Ligia?
you have to bear in mind that it's very demanding. It's extremely hard sometimes. You want to cry. you think you're not going to be up to the test. But it helped me a lot. I will tell you how is life after Celta. It helped me like a lot. Like I would teach a listening class, and then I remember what I learned in Celta. My tutor used to say to me, you sit down when you are teaching listening for students to pay attention only to the listening. You're not a distraction being, walking on the room, around the room.
Yep.
So it helped me to give short instructions and to check understanding with pictures, with asking synonyms. So I recommend you to all of you.
Absolutely. I think it's very intense. I agree. It's intense, and you learn so much and so quickly for 5 months.
But it's worth it.
Absolutely.
I think it also helps you to be more aware of the learners and the problems that they may have, and aware of yourself, of how you express yourself with your body language or if your language itself.
Yes, absolutely. You have the full-time Celta, like we mentioned before, during 5 months. You also have the intensive Celta for 1 month, and you have to attend sessions and teach every day. So it's only 4 weeks. And starting now, we also have the online Celta. Yeah, we're going to start the online Celta at Cultura starting now, I think like October, which means that you're going to have 3 months time for you to watch the input sessions online, so you can watch at your own pace. You don't have to come face to face to meet the tutors. You watch the input sessions online, and then in January the tutors will welcome everyone to come and teach the students. So we're breaking it into 2 parts, all input sessions being online, and then all the TPs, the teaching practices, in 2 weeks in January. And I might be able to see you there, but you might be able to also take it in the future if you want to take it. All right. So there are 3 formats to the Celta: full-time, intensive 1 month, and now the blended online, half online, but also have face-to-face teaching the students and coming to feedback.
During the first part, there is no face-to-face?
No. It's the online input sessions. So you must make sure that you see all the videos, because that's where the theory is discussed in practical ways by the tutors. Okay, and the teaching is face-to-face with the students in January, and then you finish the course. So 3 versions, 3 formats to Celta. Okay. Very, very soon we're going to go on together to the Delta and see how it contrasts to the Celta. So I'll wrap up the Celta points. Let me know if there is anything else you'd like to ask or like to comment on Celta, because we're going to transition to the Delta. Are things clear to you? Anything you want to comment or ask? Nope. Can we move on to the Delta now? Yes? Okay, great. So off we go. Another Cambridge Teaching Award, the Delta. Delta is a highly respected qualification worldwide, as is the Celta. All right. You might use your Celta in Brazil. You might use your Celta anywhere else you go. If you want to be an English teacher and if you are flexible to move abroad, you might use your Celta or your Delta to go into other schools in Europe, North America, South America, Asia, you name it. Okay, this is highly respected qualifications because it's organized by Cambridge. Okay, it's not a local thing, it's Cambridge. One more important aspect of the Delta: it is suitable if you are an experienced teacher of adults, preferably having taken the Celta before and applying the concepts of the Celta, learning from your teaching experience, and then moving on to the Delta. So we suppose you should have a good number of years experience teaching adults. It requires a CAE or CP level from the candidate. So the level of English that you have studied before. You don't have to teach CP classes necessarily, but it's important that you have a CAE or CP level of proficiency yourself, so you can cope with the assignments and with the readings and with the classes you're going to teach. Okay, but again, you don't have to be an advanced teacher to take the Delta. Okay, it's just have to be an advanced user of English, so you can cope with the coursework. There is much more reading to be done, much more writing to be done if you compare to the Celta. Okay, like we said before, this is essential. Delta is preferably taken over a year or 3 semesters if you can. Okay, whereas Celta can be taken in a month or 5 months. So you're going to be in contact with lots of reading, lots of writing, lots of teaching for longer. So you have to have the stamina, the energy to keep going. All right. Assignments are longer, and it's generally deeper. One more important thing about the Delta, it allows you to become a teacher trainer. So finishing your Delta and getting your diploma, then you may apply to become a Celta tutor, for example, or tutoring or training teachers in other schools too. Okay. Have you been considering become a trainer too? Would you like to do that? Particularly if you are into teaching adults, you know, so I mean the teachers will be your adults. So it's a professional dimension. It's very, very satisfying. It's a wonderful thing to be able, I love being a trainer. I think it's a wonderful thing to be talking to professionals. So I mean, then they become your adults. Isaac?
Well, what I've done is helping teachers that are starting in public schools. So they took letters, did not study the language, English. So they are not confident.
Okay.
So I help them to be more confident about the pronunciation, about how to organize their class, how to plan their classes.
Yeah.
And,
all right.
Because sometimes they get the class and then they get scared because they hate it. I have a diploma, but I used to teach Portuguese sometimes.
All right.
They get English classes.
Yeah, this happens a lot in public schools, quite frequently. These teachers, they took letras and they specialize in teaching Portuguese, but they are also interested in teaching English, or sometimes the school director, the head teacher, asks them to please also complete their workloads with English classes, and they lack the confidence or the linguistic knowledge to go into class and teach. So then they're going to need some help with that, for sure.
Students now, they have access to the language like we're talking here.
Yeah.
The teacher is saying something and the guy can instantly check that and say, hey, this is not the correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that.
Yeah, they might be intimidated. Yes. The research that I carried out for my master's degree was with public school teachers when they came to me for training. So it was, I was teaching them a course in English. It was a language course, but also I was examining how they were changing their identities, how they were changing their opinions of what it means to be a teacher throughout the course with me. So I've been in touch with state teachers and the sorts of challenges that they are now trying to face, of course, and trying to overcome. It's a wonderful thing to do. Wonderful. Yeah. Next point about the Delta, the 2 final points about the Delta. It is the same level as a master's degree. So having your degree, if you are planning on to go into higher education, the Delta will help you gain credits for a master's program. It's not the complete master's program, but you may gain credits to complete a master's program. How does that work? In Brazil, you won't be able to use your credits, but you might be able to use your Delta credits if you are willing to take a master's degree abroad. Some universities in the UK, they will accept a Delta as it's something like 30 or 40% of the credits to a master's study program. So you're going to have to complete the 60-70% of credits, but the Delta will help you go basically 1/3 of a master's program. So this can also be a great driving force behind your decision to go on and take the Delta if you want to go abroad and take your master's. I have also met a number of teachers who have been my colleagues. They also took the Delta, and then they contacted a UK university. I can give you contacts and names if you want. And they also completed the 60% credits for the master's degree in a distance style. They didn't have to leave Brazil. They didn't have to live abroad and, pay for all the expenses of going abroad and staying in England. So you can also complete your master's degree having finished the Celta in a distance format from Brazil. Okay, if you don't have any names or any things, and when we finish I can give you any name of universities where you can look it up online. The point is, this master's degree, which is based in England, you won't be able to use it for universities in Brazil. If you want to become a professor, if you want to become a higher education professional in Brazil, you won't be able to use these credits because they are not yet valid within the Brazilian educational system. So to bear that in mind, okay? A very quick quiz. I told you that the delta is broken into modules. How many modules? Great, you have been listening. And if you contrast... Oh, you're kidding me. Yeah, I'm giving the game away. Yes. And if you contrast that to Celta, how many modules are the Celta? It's one, okay? So the Celta will equate basically a third of the time invested in the delta. Let's talk a little more about the 3 modules and what they are all about. So here are the 3 modules for the delta. Module 1, understanding language, so how the English language works in terms of grammar, really, so being able to describe, clarify language. Also, loads of things on methodology, how to teach, so a history of methodologies from previous decades until today. So you're going to have a very, very wide view of what has been happening in the ELT world for the past few decades, okay? From the most primitive grammar translation methods to more communicative approaches, okay? And also resources for teaching through songs, videos, TV shows, interviews, books, newspapers. All of this is part of the Module 1 of Delta. At the end of Module 1, exam. What about the exam for Celta? There is no exam for Celta. Celta is completely assessed based on the assignments, the classes that you teach, and your professional attitude, which is one of the components of the Celta assessment. Your professional attitude. If you're late, if you're sloppy in your assignments, you're penalized, right? So for the Delta, it's a lovely 3-hour exam. It's a marathon. It's quite tiring. And during the 3-hour exam, you're going to have to show how much progress you have made during Module 1 in terms of you and how you understand and clarify the English language, how the systems work, and also methodology, the history of methodologies, and resources for teaching. Then you take the 3-hour exam. You may only take Module 1. If you're too busy or if you're short of money now, you don't want to go on to modules 2 and 3, you can stop it. You can resume and go on like in a year's time. It's very flexible. Delta this is very flexible. You can take each module in any sequence and you can have breaks in between.
And you get certificates for when you finish module 1?
Yeah, you get the credits. You still don't have your diploma, but we acknowledge that you have completed module 1. In Module 2, you are developing your professional practice. In other words, you are writing assignments and teaching classes observed by the tutor. Normally, you don't teach collectively as in the Celta. That's a big difference. For the Delta, you normally teach within your own institution, within your own schools. So the tutor comes to see you. Look who's there. Can you please say hi to Danny? Danny is my colleague back there in the class. Come on in, Danny. You want to hand over something to me? Okay. By the way, Dani is sitting back there. She is also a Delta tutor. If you want to get the chance and ask her a couple of questions, you can go on. So Module 2 of the Delta comprises your developing your professional practice, like I said before. So you'll be writing your assignments and teaching the contents of the assignment. So where if it's, for example, an assignment on teaching speaking skills, so you do a lot of background reading, the theory behind teaching speaking. You write your own assignment, your essay, on how to teach a speaking class, and then you demonstrate it in a lesson where the tutor comes to see you and to assess your teaching performance, also followed by reflection. Okay for you? Yes. Module 3 of the Delta.
You have to choose one of those.
In Module 3,
Yeah.
you have two options. Yes. In option 1, extending practice and English language teaching specialism, or option 2, English language teaching management. Those of you who might be considering in the future coordinating a school, managing a school. Also, like I said before, Delta will also allow you to become a teacher trainer. So if you are considering having a leader role, a leader position in which you're going to be training, hiring teachers, for example, you might prefer to do Module 3 with a focus on option 2, the management option.
Can't you do both?
I'm not sure you can do both options. I don't think you can. Danny, you can. No, you can't do it. No. In option 1, if you don't want to go into management, if you don't want to go into coordination, then you can stay within the English language realm, and you can do your extended practice, which is, I would say, academically speaking, similar to a study case. You may choose a learner, and then you may do a study case with this specific learner. You may have objectives for this learner, interview, assess the proficiency level they are at, and how they can move on, for example, and take an international exam. So you're not going to deal with management if you want to stay in option 1. It's within the English teaching dimension. In Module 2, part of the professional practice will also open new doors to you, which we still normally don't do at Celta level, which is reading, discussing, and teaching also about course design and assessment. There are two very, very interesting areas for you to discuss and invest your energy into, which we still don't do in Celta level. Course design, so you're going to have background reading and theory on how to design a course, how to address the needs of the students, how to break a program down into classes, and also how to design tests, how to design assessment, and the impact of assessment on learning, how the impact may be positive or negative depending on the way you design assessment. Assessment and course design are two important features of the Delta, which is not discussed in any other previous teaching awards. How are you feeling back there? Questions, problems, anything you're curious about?
What about the prices?
The prices. I don't have the prices to give you here, but you might easily check prices on the website of the centers who run these courses. So you can check the Cultura Inglesa prices if you check our own websites. The Celta these days, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, but I think the Celta these days is around 4,000 reais? Over 4,000?
4,000 to 5,000. Celta online is a little bit more expensive because you're using a platform by Cambridge, but the range is about that. And for the Delta, it depends per module, but overall, it's more expensive. It's almost 10,000.
But that's 53 modules.
That's for the 3 modules together,
And you can
10,000.
Because you have Cambridge fee for module 1, Cambridge fee for module 3, which is not that cheap. On top of that, you have the tuition fee, and it's not an expensive course, of course, it's a diploma, right?
Yeah, this is true. If you check the prices of Delta online, generally the overall Cambridge cost is normally about £2,000. And we're living now a moment where the dollar exchange rate is quite expensive. So, yeah.
At Cultura, we offer Delta online, module 1 and module 2 is online, so you'll be able to do it online. And of course, the teaching part, you're going to have a tutor face-to-face and feedback.
Yeah. So you also have an option to take the Celta online option, like I explained to you before, input sessions via the internet and teaching practice face-to-face in January, and now the news that the Delta modules 1 and 2 will also be available online at the Cultura Inglesa if you want to join us. Such a pleasure. Well, we are finishing now the Cambridge Teaching Awards Celta and Delta. we're going to finish our conversation, our talk, with 2 other paths that you might like to take in terms of ELT career goals. Before we move on to the final part, can you take any other questions? Anything you're curious to know? Thiago?
I am sure unsure. Who's first? Because some things about Delta, like teaching teachers, that's something I have a little bit of experience with. So is there a sure way to find out which one you are best suited for? Because I'm sure unsure, like, oh yeah, I'm sure Celta is the one I have to go for. I think like, every time we talk about that, I'm like, yeah, I think I can, I think it's what I need right now. Is there a sure way to find testing?
How long? No, I don't think there's a test you can take. It's more like talking to tutors. We can also have a chat at the end of the session if you want to stay for 5 minutes. So we can probably hear more about your experience and I might be able to tell you where to go. I don't think there's a blood test you can take which will tell you where to go as quickly as that. But we can talk 5 minutes in the end if you want to stay. How long have you been teaching, Thiago?
About 8 years now.
Okay, so you're quite experienced already. Yeah, that's okay. Can you move on? Yes? Okay. As you see here, option 2 of Delta allows you to start discussing and learning more about school management, okay, and managing or coordinating a school. Have you considered that before? Would you like to become a manager or coordinator? You have your own school, ISEC, you said, right? Yes. Have you considered this before or not yet? Yes? Leisure, maybe not? Okay, that's all right. Well, remember, to me, and I can tell from experience, the best leaders, the best managers, the best coordinators will have a lot of teaching experience. Going back to what Mike said before, they're going to be wonderful mentors, they're going to be wonderful role models. So if you are planning on taking a leadership role, make sure that you have a lot of teaching experience.
It's Mike, yeah?
Mike. Yes, it's Mike.
I think schools today, they have a mindset of like 20, 30 years ago. We need new schools. We have new students.
I see.
And you're from Cultura. I think Cultura is one of the higher level. But if you look at any other schools, they have like very old mindsets, dragging from like 40 years ago. Like,
oh, I see.
it hasn't evolved much.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And I think we need more in the future schools.
Okay, with a fresh view.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
For now.
Cool. Well, if you are planning to go into school management or school coordination, I have some of the words in Portuguese now because these are the names of the courses that you might like to consider taking here in Brazil. So that's why it's in Portuguese. Okay. So there are a few courses taught by universities here in São Paulo, which go under the name of Formação Pedagógica ou Coordenação Pedagógica.